But once you forgive, we want to talk about freedom. Man, it sets you free, and it sets everybody else free.
Ignition sequence start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Obliterating social norms and overrunning the cultural corrosion with righteous rhetoric and common sense. This is Overflow, the extended conversation covering life, today's newsbreakers, and the occasional banter with the most interesting members of the human species. Signaling from the conservative chasm of Central Valley, California. It's the outlaws your conscience warned you about. Let's welcome your hosts, Loto and PhillVill.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to Overflow EXT. It is episode number 23.
Yes, 23. Here we go.
Wow, man. PhillVill, I cannot believe that we're at 23 and at the end of 22.
Yes, 2022 has gone by so fast.
Yes, sir.
It's been a few months. We
sir.
launched in July or June?
July.
July, yes.
Yeah,
it's gone by so fast, but here we are in episode 23.
Speaking of, make sure that you tune in because we're going to be looking back at 2022. I cannot wait for these next 2 weeks. But before we move on, PhillVill, why don't you drop the drip?
Okay, here we go. We have a great lineup for today. Of course, we're going to be starting off with the weekly Musk Hane Splash. A lot to report on there. And there's a quote from Dennis D'Souza himself. We're going to look way back into some historic moments that founded this country. Obama, is it a slip? The significance of Snickers.
Put those Snickers back.
And a big movie star, rights or wrong. Apple again is under fire. In New Zealand, a government fight over custody. A grandfather's forgiveness. In the midst of tragedy. We'll have an extended conversation. Well, in this time of season, there's a lot of Christmas stuff taking place. And I know that the church you attend, you're going to be playing Tiny Tim, I hear?
Man, bro, I tried, but I was too small for Tiny Tim. So probably next year, Pastor said. Yeah, we have Scrooge or the Gospel According to Scrooge. It's a fantastic take on the Christmas Carol story. So we're putting on the big production, bro. We've done it the last couple of years. Every single year, it just keeps getting better and better. I do have a biased, my baby girl is, in the
right.
production,
That's
so
right.
Cannot wait to see her in her first Broadway drama in Fresno.
And what part did she get?
I'm not sure. It's going to be a surprise.
Oh, a surprise. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, wait. She did tell me. Oh, okay. I don't want to give too much away, bro. But it's gonna. Yeah. She's definitely got a great role in the drama. But man, we got fantastic. Cast. The guy playing Scrooge himself, very talented young man.
yes,
the town peoples. It's gonna be great. I cannot wait. And matter of fact, PhillVill, this is your guys' home turf, man. And I remember when you guys were a part of the productions. Matter of fact, really, you could say founding members, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. I think my wife and I played young Scrooge and his girlfriend. Man, the first 2 or 3 years. From those. It was so hilarious doing that. I'm Hispanic. I do an English accent, right? I don't know how that played out, but that was hilarious.
Well, we do know I played out in the previous episode.
No, Belle. Please, Belle. God bless everyone.
Yeah, yes, right.
No, that's
you guys did awesome, though, man.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun doing our musical, but yeah, that was a great time, great season, great tradition at Cornerstone.
Man. And then that's matter of fact, you guys had speaking of tradition, you guys did something this weekend.
Yeah, it's our 3rd annual chili cook-off, and this is our second one being part of it. Last year when we first started attending Adventure Church, we were invited to a chili cook-off at somebody's house, and this year they asked us if we could open our home up and we could have it here. So we had it, and man, it was so good. We had about 5 different chilies, very spicy, the best unique. Some had some zucchini. I never had that with zucchini before. Yeah. Remember, there's a big debate. Do you have chili with beans or without beans? There's a debate there, but
I thought you can't have chili beans without beans, or it's not chili beans then.
They call it chili, and beans is an add-on.
Oh,
yeah. It's really good. Yeah, so I tried it a few times. I wanted to make sure my judging was on point, so I had to have more than one one take, one
yes,
serving.
Just to make sure. Got you, bro. Excellent quality control, brother. I totally understand. So, so who won?
I believe Julian won. He was one of our sound engineers, and he got first place. There's different winners in there. It was really good. There's most unique. I think Brenda won that one.
Was it spicy?
The one I voted for was very spicy.
Oh my gosh,
very spicy. Yeah. And there was talk, like there's a category called I think they should add it for next year, call it the afterburn. You vote for it the day after.
That's why I don't do a lot of the different chilies, because it goes in hot, it comes out way hotter, bro. So that's a
no comment.
But it was good. I like that though. Afterburn category. Definitely let me know how that goes. Okay, now I have a question. Does it have to be spicy in order for it to be chili?
Oh no, there was great ones. We're sitting at the table and kind of going over it. Man, this was good. This one would taste good on chili dog. This one would be great for just by itself. This one would be good for chips and stuff. So there was different types.
Okay.
Yeah, you would never have thought.
Yeah. See, I'm not into the whole chili thing. It's not that I don't like it. I just never been a part of it. So I always think, if you do chili, it has to be spicy. So it doesn't have to be spicy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's think about it. That's where you get the word chili, huh?
Yeah.
No, but there are spicy, but there is spicy. There is fire.
Yeah. See, I don't mind spicy. I actually like spicy. I just don't like the kind where you can't even enjoy your food. You're too busy sweating and dying for water.
Sweat is part of it.
Yeah.
I think.
See, I mean, yes, but not too. Yeah. I know Pastor Full and
I was gonna say
the B.O.S.
the B.O.S. podcast. Oh yeah, shout out to the B.O.S. podcast.
Yes, shout out,
man.
And then he's still, they're still suffering. Got something. I'm good,
well,
man.
Explain
I like my stomach. It's it's a necessary part of my process. Everyday process. So
and so for those not knowing what I'm referring to, and B.O.S. podcast, Pastor Phil was on our as a guest.
Yep,
they ate live chili on a show.
Hot wings, yes.
Hot wings. Oh man.
Yeah. You guys should check it out. It's an amazing episode. But they say, man, learn from people's mistake. Praise the Lord.
We're not doing that here.
Yeah.
I'll have hamburgers.
Yeah. We'll have hamburger, pizza, something like that. But the wife has kept me off the carb truck right now. So we'll probably have to do that in a couple of months or something. But wow, man, awesome, bro. So next year's chili. Do we know a place yet? Is that going to be here again, or
we don't know?
We'll see when we get there.
Always open. Yeah,
awesome.
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay.
Well, it was a great time, and you know what time it is now? It's time for.
It's your news makers of breakfast.
The weekly Musk Kanye splash. Kanye has been, of course, in hot water. Is continuing drama every week. This past week he's wearing a mask. He's said some crazy, outrageous things.
Well, hold on, because you got all the masketeers out there. What you mean that's controversial mask? You were supposed to wear a mask. No. What kind of mask are you talking about, brother? We're not talking about COVID mask.
He was wearing a full headgear covering his whole face, and people were like, "What is going on?" And apparently, he said some things. I don't know how, Lodo, you might have another take, but he could backtrack from some things. He was talking about Nazis, for them, not for them. It was kind of confusing to follow. But that's Kanye.
That's Kanye. There's my comment.
Yeah, and speaking of Kanye, and Kanye was removed from Twitter again, right?
Yes.
But by his pal Elon Musk, and he was quoted, Elon Musk he wanted to punch him for Swatch this guy. Was posted.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know what to say on that. All right, Elon Musk. I don't know if you heard. It's just been on the down low, right? The documents were finally revealed. It was dropped on late Friday, and the media is pretty much has broken because all the content, all the evidence is not being revealed of the collusion, the election collusion, between the government and Twitter officials. Lodo, what's your first response?
When you hear the media's heads are on fire, just turn the TV on and go to a news station, and you'll see what that means. You got the media outraged that Elon Musk. Now we're talking about the media. The first press, and they're on fire because Musk is dropping information, and I'll get into a little bit more later, but man, I'm just wondering why it took this guy to get this information out.
when it first came out, the New York Post released the article, and they censored the article from being shared. Even that they were saying it was because it was Russia collusion.
Mm-hmm.
But they kept on saying it, but they didn't have no evidence of Russian collusion. And of course, we suspected that the government was telling them that it was Russian collusion, that there's going to be a big dump. They got ahead of it and they started squashing it.
Yeah.
And now it's showing it had no idea. It's just a ploy.
Yeah, this whole doc drop on the government and their relationship with the previous version of Twitter 1.0. It's a humongous story. It's a developing one, and there's going to be a lot more said to in the weeks to come.
So Elon Musk made an appearance on Twitter Space. And Twitter Space, although if you don't know it, I'm trying to understand it too. It's like a chat room.
Yeah,
it's a chat room for audio. You could join. You could hear somebody talking about a particular topic, and then you can bring different people to ask questions. And I think tens of thousands. I believe it peaked at maybe a couple 100,000. And they went through everything. They talked about Kanye thing. They talk about the docs. They talk about the collusion. And it was a great thing that, again, freedom is taking place. Even if you disagree with things, at least there's free speech is happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's a kind of the same concept as the Facebook room they're trying to do, but yeah, and I heard that he was expected to go about 30 minutes long, at the longest, but ended up spending a couple of hours. That's pretty amazing.
I saw several reports that he's now actually saying that he's in high risk of being assassinated. I don't know if that's, maybe he knows something we don't, obviously, because
I wouldn't be surprised.
Being threatened by all this information coming out, because people's dirty laundry is definitely being aired.
Yeah. And some very powerful people. So no, that does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, and I'm not even sure what's going on with Trump. I know Trump made something about, you might know a little bit more about this in the Constitution. He was referring to you should change something, and Elon Musk chimed in on that. Do you know what?
Yeah, well, he dropped the truth, right, on Truth Social, which is Trump's social platform. And, he said that, we because of what's going on right now, we should pause, or I forget what term he used, some of the Constitution, so we can get to the bottom of what's really going on. And I think, I believe a lot of that's been taken out of context. And I'll go ahead and, like I said, I'm going to share some things, coming up.
And it reminds me of this quote that came across from Dinesh D'Souza.
Yes.
He says this: journalists are losing their power. They are trying to regain their influence by becoming gatekeepers of who gets to say what, when, and where. Censorship is their new business model.
Yes. So they consider themselves the gatekeepers. And so this brings up a question and something that I want to talk about. I kept saying, I'm going to address more of this later. Well, it's later now. I want to start with asking a question. Do we still have a free country? Is this still a free country? Is this still a country that we get to elect our own representatives? Is this still a country that our representatives still represent us? Or are we in a country where people are selected? Where people are already pre-chosen for us? Is this still a country where, where we get representation? Or is this a country that they represent themselves? I'm not sure if we really have a free country like we used to. It's amazing how we have the first press, or we have the press, and they're part of the First Amendment, which is the freedom of speech and the freedom of sharing information and all that. And like I said earlier, why does it take an Elon Musk to share all of these information, all of these docs, all of these things, when we already have a group of people that we trust to get the word to us and to speak truth to power? It's called the press. It's called the media. They're the ones that's supposed to, distribute all this information. They're the ones that's supposed to be investigating, getting to the bottom of these things so that we can be informed and that we can make an informed decision when it comes to voting. The problem is we haven't been totally informed, right? You look at what all of these docs, and all they scream out is, again, what does media think they are? They think they're the gateway of the information. But instead of being the free flow gateway where they keep that gateway open, they keep that gateway shut. You look at these docs and we find evidence now of a real collusion that was happening between the old Twitter and our government and those who we trust to protect us and to keep an eye on everything. But we find out now that it was actually the fox or the fox that was keeping an eye on the house that contained all the important information. Now, I don't know how much of an informed decision you made when you didn't have 100% of the information. We see how all of the Hunter information was kept from us. We see now. Imagine that. Imagine how our elections would have turned out back in 2020 if you knew everything that was on Hunter's laptop. Like Philip mentioned earlier, they said that it was Russian collusion. They actually said that it was Russian disinformation or misinformation. And now we see that it wasn't. Now we see that it was verified. So then it brings up the 51 intelligence officers or agents that signed off on a paper that said this is Russian misinformation. So what do we do about that? What do we do about the 51 agents who put their name on the line that this was false? But now we find out everything on that laptop was actually true and it belonged to Hunter. And the troubling thing is for you that are just finding out right now with the rest of the world, because this drop just came out. For the rest of us, we're not just finding out. This is stuff we already knew. Why did we know? Because we went and looked for the information. Why? Because we didn't have a press that we could trust. We had to go get it on our own. And I'm sorry that you didn't know this when you voted in 2020, but now you know. So now what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Because look, PhillVill, I know that there's a lot of Democrats out there. They feel the way about their politics. They feel the way they do about, their ideology. But I know that there are Democrats out there who does not agree with a lot of these things on the laptop, brother. I know that there's a lot of things that they would be disgusted by, like things that happen with nieces and children, with prostitutes, dudes. I mean, just, using drugs, right on the camera with no shame, brother, with no shame, And so I know that there's a lot of things that Democrats, liberals, would definitely disagree. And I'm wondering how it would have affected their vote if they were aware of these things. But again, we don't have a media. We have gatekeepers who thinks that they're supposed to keep certain information from us because they want to tell us or they want to pick our politicians for us. No, that needs to stop. And then back to this whole Trump thing about Trump saying, oh, we need to, to postpone some of the Constitution. Let me show you something about the Constitution. Matter of fact, let me show you the thing that gave us a Constitution. And it was an article that came before that. It was a letter that was written before that, the Declaration of Independence. PhillVill, can you read that for us, please?
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that when any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness.
It sounds to me, PhillVill, that the founders of this nation, this wonderful nation we've been blessed with, agrees with Trump, agrees with President 45, that when we find ourselves with the government who's acting more like a tyranny, not only do we have the right, but we also have the responsibility to address that and to do something about that. So again, family, what are we going to do about it? Call your representatives, hold their feet to the fire. The reason why these people get away with so much of what they're getting away with is because we fall asleep and we leave it up to them to do all these things. And we don't keep an eye on them. We let the foxes keep the eyes on the hens. And that's why we end up where we're at today. So it's time for us to really start considering our government and the type of government that we have now. Now people will say, oh, well, so there you go, talk about politics again. Yes. And I'm not ashamed of it. And I will not apologize for it. Because so many want us to just leave politicians alone and leave politics alone. But yet we're supposed to just live with the consequences of that. We're supposed to just live with the decisions that they make. We're supposed to just accept that we're not being represented when we're the ones that's voting here. You're the ones that's paying the taxes. Are you getting representation for the taxes that you're paying? If you're not, that's exactly the reason why we disconnected and wrote this letter of independence away from our previous owners, a monarchy. If we do not get a hold of what's going on now, we're going to go right back to a monarchy. These people are destroying. I said it before and I say it all the time. They're trying to destroy a middle class because the middle class is the last frontier. Once we get rid of the middle class, nobody's going to be around to protect the lower class from the rulers, from the royals. So it's time for us to stand up, and it's time for us to speak out, and it's time for us to start holding our representatives' feet to the fire and make sure that they're representing us, that they're working on what's best for us, not what's best for their political careers. PhillVill, it's kind of sad, brother, but here we go again. Like back in 1700, we're leaving the state of our nation in the hands of young people, young adults. I'm sorry that the previous generations didn't do such a good job. Now you're kind of left with bringing up a solution. You're left to bringing up an answer for these problems that we have. Of course, we all know we need to turn back to God. We need to turn back to God. That's the only way that this gets completely fixed. And young people, I pray that you understand that. Now I'm speaking to young people. You're like, well, what can we do? We can't do anything. Yes, you can. Let me point something out to you real quick. PhillVill, you brought up the ages. I believe James Wood brought this up too on Tucker. But the ages of some of the people that signed off on this declaration, brother, can you give us some of the names and their ages?
Well, probably the most famous one was Thomas Jefferson. He was 33, young man.
Authored the declaration, yep.
Yeah, and then John Hancock, who was 39. And one of the older ones, yes, Benjamin Franklin, who was 70 years old. Mm-hmm. And others were shockingly young. I love this. Even teenagers. James Monroe, for example, was 18. Man. Yeah, and of course from the musical, Alexander Hamilton was 21. Yeah.
And then there was somebody else that was 9. Who was that?
And the one who was 9 years old was Andrew Jackson.
Andrew Jackson, 9-year-old, signed the Declaration of Independence.
Thomas Young, 12 years old. And then there was several 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, a couple 18-year-olds. I mean, there's a lot of 20-somethings. Most of them are 20-something.
And PhillVill, I believe that it is going to be our young people that will rise up and will do something about the government and the state that it's in today. Because a lot of these young people, bro, especially your young adults now, 18, 20-somethings, these are kids who knows the reality of what this government put us through with the last 3 years of COVID. And they had that experience. And now they know what happens when the government has too much power, which is what the declaration was talking about. Talking about a government that had too much power. You know, a government has too much power when they're no longer afraid of the people.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. There is he's trying to right a wrong from he was 14 years old. And he said that he was stealing Snicker bars every single day because he was broke. I won't say what he said, but he said he was basically just broke. And he wanted to make things right. So he went to a store and he bought all the Snickers that they had.
We didn't even have Snickers in Hawaii. What was he stealing?
Yeah, because he was from Hawaii. Yeah, when you said that earlier, I'm like, what? They didn't have Snickers in Hawaii.
We had Snickers, we had Twix, we had Butterfingers, we had everything, brother. So,
oh yeah, Snickers is one of my favorites.
Yeah, definitely my favorite. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. But man, this is awesome.
Now we're talking about government overreach. Now in New Zealand, government seeks guardianship. Watch this, of a baby after parents refuse to use vaccinated blood for their son's surgery. Isn't that overreach?
That's definitely overreach. That is definitely overreach. Whatever happened to the parents have a right. You know, and especially when it comes to make a decision over their child's health. This is definitely overreach.
Now, we all heard the tragic story of the 7-year-old that was abducted and then later killed from a FedEx driver.
Yeah.
In the middle of the tragedy, the grandfather spoke up, and here's a quote from the grandfather. "There's not 1 ounce of my flesh that wants to do this or say this, but my spirit has heard God's voice. And right now, while tears flood my eyes, I declare publicly, I forgive this man," Strand declared. Well, this is a great example of just how he didn't want hate to set in his heart. He was fighting against hate. And if anybody had the right to not to forgive or to just harbor that hate, it was this grandfather. Your thoughts?
This story really hit me in a personal way. And bro, if I can, I'm gonna spend a little bit of time on this because it really resonates with me personally, very deeply, especially on the subject of forgiveness, and especially in the season of Christmas. This is what Christmas is about, beloved. That we've all been forgiven, should we choose to be. And what I mean by that is, we all know John 3:16, bro. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believes in him shall not perish, but have everlasting life. There's nothing more Christmas than that. And this is an example of this precious grandpa who lost his dearly beloved granddaughter. Our family, brother, and what we've gone through, these last couple of years, yourself as well, but this is very encouraging to me. And this means a lot to me because of my own situation and having, things taken away from me, like my eyesight. A lot of you guys know that I'm blind. Here's one thing that I do want you to know, though, and that's this. It is the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is liberating. Maybe it won't liberate, the other person, from what they've done. And maybe you want justice. Yes, of course, we all want justice. But the one that this is liberating more for is the one that's forgiving. The person that's doing the forgiving. I had a choice to make when I got shot and I lost my sight. I could forgive him and move on and live the greatest life that I've ever gotten to live. And I thank God that I made that decision. Or I could harbor the hate. And what that would do is give him every single day after losing my sight. Wasn't going to get another day of mine. So I chose to forgive. Matter of fact, I pray for this gentleman. I pray for his family. When the DA called me, PhillVill, and told me, hey, we got good news, we caught him, I broke over the phone. Because I understand, yes, that's good news to some, but I work with young people. And all I could think about is his children and his wife. I knew at that point he had a family. It's like, oh, great, another child without a dad. But that kind of mentality can only come from a forgiving heart. And I want to encourage all of you, family, to forgive. To forgive. Now, there's some of those things that are very severe. I don't mean to belittle any of the pain and any of the experience that you've gone through. But forgiving is for you. It's just it's not just about that person that you're forgiving. It's for you. It's to allow you to breathe, and it's allow you to look up again. It's to allow you to live again. Because when you have bitter and toxicity in your heart, it keeps you from breathing. It keeps you from seeing things clearly, and it keeps you from living. We say it all the time, right? Unforgiveness is like you taking the poison pill and waiting for that other person that hurt you to die. It doesn't work like that. Bitterness kills you. And not only that, bitterness kills everybody else around you because they have to suffer along with you. But once you forgive, we want to talk about freedom. Man, it sets you free. And it sets everybody else free. Because, beloved, how many people have to walk around on eggshells? How many people have to keep their truest feelings to themselves because they don't want to rock your world and they don't want to upset you and they don't want to make you mad? Forgive, especially for this Christmas. You have family members you haven't seen in years because you wouldn't forgive. It's time to let that go. It's time to ask God for healing. Now, do I mean forgive them and that's it? No. For those of you that have hurt people, believe you me, God is the God of justice. There is restitution. So you need to cry out to God for forgiveness and for mercy. But God expects justice. He expects justice. Whenever Jesus talks about forgiveness, there was also the backstory of people making restitution. Example number 1, Zacchaeus. When Zacchaeus went, was looking for Jesus and standing on that tree, Jesus said, Zacchaeus, I'm coming to your house. But Zacchaeus went on to say, Lord, if I've taken any money by any false witness, I will return that money 4 times. If you've hurt somebody, Your job is to make that up because God expects justice. But for those who have been hurt, have been wronged, have been pained, I pray that you hear the same spirit that Grandpa heard when he was instructed to forgive. Because that is what Christmas is about.
Yeah, in the middle of tragedy, and especially something so personal, I can't imagine with somebody with young kids or young grandchild that so close to the tragedy. Just forgive. And you shared your personal story and what you've gone through with that.
Yeah, bro. You know, like I said, man, I pray for Mr. McKinney, you know, and brother, I pray that he knows Jesus, but if he doesn't, oh my gosh, bro, it would be a tremendous honor to introduce him to Jesus, man. But, you know, I wouldn't be here today, bro, had God not given me the grace to forgive, brother.
In this Christmas season, we love just talking about forgiveness, and you know that's why Christ was born, so he could forgive us. He was our savior. But man, I am looking forward to more great episode number 23. And again, we thank you for joining us each and every week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We want to celebrate. We have 200, close to 300 now subscribers on YouTube. It's because of you, and get the word out. We'll look forward to next week with you and Lodo.
Well, just want to update, brother. Number 5, Go Raiders. Praise the Lord. You know, like I said on Kingdom Talk, bro, they keep calling us nationalists. They're definitely right, brother. The boys are Raider nationalists. Praise the Lord. Wow. We love you all. Lord bless and see you next time.
You've been listening to Overflow, the extended conversation, obliterating social norms, and overrunning the cultural corrosion with righteous rhetoric and common sense. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, make sure to like, rate, and review, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hit us up on social media at Overflow EXT. Lord bless, and we'll see you next time on Overflow, the extended conversation.